And one of the major problems in the Western world is alcoholism, which leads to other problems also. And the glorious Quran has a solution. It says in Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 90, Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu, O you who believe, innamal khamru wal maisiru, most certainly intoxicants and gambling, wal anzabu wal azlamu, dedication of stones, divination of arrows, rishtum min amali shaitan, these are Satan's handiwork. Fashtanibu lalakum tuflihun, abstain from this handiwork that you may prosper. The Quran says that alcoholism, gambling, these are Satan's handiwork. Abstain from this handiwork that you may prosper. You know, there is an inhibitory center in the brain, you know, which prevents you from doing things which are not correct. For example, if I have to go for call of nature, my inhibitory center will say, don't do it here, go to the toilet. If I'm speaking to elders, my inhibitory center will say, speak with respect. Don't abuse your parents, don't abuse your elders. Inhibitory center is working. Now when you're intoxicated, this inhibitory center is inhibited by the alcohol. No wonder you find many alcoholics, they urinate in the clothes itself. They speak with abusive language. They don't respect the parents when they're intoxicated, and they don't care who is in front of them. They keep on speaking anything. The inhibitory center is inhibited. And the statistics of the Western world tells us, especially of the States, that majority of the rapes that take place, majority means more than 95% of the rapes that take place, it is in the state of intoxicants. Either the rapist is intoxicated or the victim who was raped is intoxicated. More than 95%. And almost all of the cases of incest. You know incest? Incest means sex with close relatives. Father and daughter, mother and son, brother and sister. Incest. It's in the case when the people are intoxicated. Majority of rape, more than 95%, almost all of the incest is in the state of intoxicants. And imagine, even the AIDS, one of the reasons for AIDS to spread is alcoholism, which is a very dangerous disease. One of the reasons is alcoholism. There are people who say, oh, you know, we are only social drinkers. We only are social drinkers, just once in a while, you know. Some people say in cold countries, because if it's cold, we have only one peg of beer. It's not harmful. So I tell them that if you're feeling cold, why don't you sit next to the fireplace? No, we want to drink something, you know. I said, if you want to drink something, why don't we have honey? Honey keeps you more warm than alcohol. But in the honey, there's no kick which you get in the beer. You know, people have excuses. And there are some Westerners, you know, who told me, let's see, Brother Zakir, Islam, I don't mind accepting. But the thing is that I cannot give up my alcohol. There are certain people who only want excuse for not accepting Islam. So I told that brother, let's suppose I give you a fatwa. Suppose that for you, alcohol is forgiven. If you have alcohol, it's forgiven. Just for sake of argument. Will you accept Islam then? He was silent. People want to give excuse for not accepting it. Not that that was the only reason why he's not accepting Islam. Saying that no, Islam is a good religion, but I cannot give up my alcohol. So I said, okay, fine. At least you give up your shirk. I will tell you that even with alcohol, no problem. Allah may forgive you. Shirk, Allah will never forgive you. If you do shirk, Allah will never forgive you. No problem. If that's your only hitch from accepting Islam, I will give you a certificate that no problem. You have alcohol. Other things that will follow of Islam. Now, this is trying to use hikmah. As I said, there are no excuses people don't accept Islam. But then Islam has a solution to the problems. There are people who say, my father, he's a social drinker since a long time. So I tell the people, every drunkard, when you interview him, every alcoholic you interview him, and you can ask the doctors, when you interview them, no alcoholic starts drinking because he wants to become alcoholic. No alcoholic starts drinking because he wants to become a drunkard. He starts as a social drinker. And many of them end up becoming drunkards. And then some people say, you know, my father, he is a social drinker and he has good willpower. He has only one peg a week and one peg twice a week, and he never gets intoxicated. So I tell that any human being who's been having alcohol since several years, you ask him that has he ever been intoxicated in his life, and no one can say no. If he's been a social drinker also, at least a few times in his life, he has to be intoxicated. And if suppose during that time, if he commits a crime like rape or incest, will any modest person be ever able to forgive himself again? The loss that is done, irreparable, irreversible loss done to him and the victim is unforgivable. Suppose in the state of intoxication, if you get intoxicated even once, and suppose you commit rape, or suppose you commit incest, your father sleeps with the daughter, will he ever be able to forgive himself? Therefore, our beloved Prophet said, it's mentioned in Ibn Majah, volume number 3, in the book of intoxicants, chapter number 30, hadith number 3392, that anything which intoxicates you in large quantity is even prohibited in small quantity. No excuse for nipor at all. Our beloved Prophet said, it's mentioned in Ibn Majah, volume number 3, in the book of intoxicants, chapter number 30, hadith number 3371, that intoxicants are the mother of all evils. It is the mother of all evils. Because of intoxicants, there is so much of evil in society. Molestation, rape, disease, etc. several. And the Prophet said that 10 categories of people are cursed, those who are involved with alcohol. It's mentioned in Ibn Majah, volume number 3, in the book of intoxicants, chapter number 30, hadith number 3380. And the Prophet said, anyone who's involved in 10 categories with alcohol, Allah's curse is on such people. Those that distill alcohol, those who distill it for others, those who drink it, those who transport it, those who transport it for somebody else, those who serve it, those who sell it, those who utilize the profits of the sales, those who buy it and those who buy it for someone else. All these 10 types of people, Allah's curse is on these people. And there are several diseases which a person can have by having intoxicants. You can give a talk only on the ill effects of alcohol, which the Western world knows about it. Not that they don't know. Therefore, they have several resolutions passed, which I shall discuss one later on. And you can give a talk, only listing the names of diseases will take you a full day. I'll just mention a few. One of the most dangerous diseases, which is associated with the person drinking alcohol, is cirrhosis of liver. Having intoxicants, a person can also have carcinoma of the esophagus, carcinoma of the head and neck, carcinoma of the stomach, carcinoma of the liver. A person can have esophagitis, gastritis, pancreatitis, hepatitis. He can have cardiomyopathy. He can have angina. He can have hypertension. He can have atherosclerosis. All these are associated with having alcohol. A person can have peripheral neuropathy, cortical atrophy, cerebral atrophy if he has alcohol. A person can be associated with strokes, with fits, with paralysis, with apoplexy. A person can have Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, which is a syndrome associated with loss of immediate memory and confabulation and retention of past memory due to thiamine deficiency, which is associated with intake of alcohol. A person can also have disease like pellagra, beriberi. He can have delirium tremens. It takes place a lot of time post-operatively, and infection, and especially a person who abstains from intoxicants. And if a person is suffering from this, even in advanced hospitals, sometimes he can die. He can have several endocrine disorders such as myxedema, hypothyroidism, Cushing syndrome. He can have hematological disorders like Zine syndrome. He can have folic acid deficiency in which there is microcytic anemia. He can have platelet disorders, thrombocytopenia. Common drugs which a person takes like flagyl, that's metronidazole, can come in between if he regularly takes alcohol. If a person takes alcohol regularly, his power to fight the diseases, his immunity goes down. There are chances of infection of the respiratory tract. There can be disease of the lung like emphysema, like pulmonary tuberculosis, like lung abscess. And when a person vomits, his cough reflex is reduced during intoxicant, and the vomitus can go into the lung, causing lung abscess as well as emphysema. A person can even die due to this problem. And this problem of intoxicants, of alcohol, is further multiplied in the woman. A woman has more chances of cirrhosis of liver as compared to the man. And if a woman is pregnant and if she takes alcohol, there are chances of having alcohol fetus syndrome. It even affects the baby. There are several diseases. There can be skin disease like alopecia, eczema, paronychia, stomatitis. Several diseases. You can only list the diseases for days together and discuss for months together. But today's doctors, the Westerners, they tell us in the medical journals that alcoholism is a disease. It's a disease, it's not addiction. You know, like how you have typhoid, you have pulmonary tuberculosis, and normally people are sympathetic towards people who have disease. If a person is sick, you are sympathetic. Poor person, he has got typhoid, he has got influenza, he is suffering from illness. So today's doctors tell us that alcoholism is a disease. So I tell them, if alcoholism is a disease, it is the only disease that is sold in bottles. It is the only disease that has a licensed outlet for its sale. It is the only disease that brings the revenue to several governments of the world, including the Western government. It is the only disease that is advertised in the television, on the satellite, on the radio, in the newspapers, in the magazines. It is the only disease which brings violent deaths on the highways. It is the only disease that destroys families. It is the only disease which has got no viral or germ cause. It's not a disease. The Quran says in Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse number 90, "Rijsum min amali shaitan, fajtanibu la'allakum tuflihun." It's not a disease, it's a Satan's handiwork. Abstain from this handiwork that you may prosper. And Islam also has a solution. There are chances that you may get a